What's the best way to take profits when you're selling crypto? Now that Bitcoin is clearly in a bull market, if you weren't convinced of that already, it can be tricky to know when do I sell and what do I look for in the charts to know how to sell. So, this is a really complicated question. And what I'm about to tell you is not financial advice, but just a collection of different strategies and tools that you might want to use to develop a selling strategy for yourself. I think that's what's really important is you make it your own. And it's an art, right? We don't know when the top is. We don't know where the top is, and we have no way of knowing that. But all we can do is just assess the probabilities. So that's what I'm going to talk about in tonight's video. And I want to go through a whole bunch of different strategies with you. And then, like I said, you can decide what works best for you and kind of go from there. One of the greatest tools to have when deciding if you feel selling your cryptocurrency is a good strategy are risk metrics. And I've tried out several different risk metrics, but one of the ones that I love the most are the ones at Polarity Digital. You do have to sign up for their service. I don't know what the cost is now, but it's pretty reasonable. I got in at a fairly reasonable price about a year and a half ago, and I've been a member ever since. And I just want to show you kind of how these metrics work and how they can be useful in identifying potential areas to sell your cryptos. So if we look at this is their professional website. You have the name of the crypto over here, you've got the price, and then you've got this upside downside potential indicator, short term, medium term, and long term. And you've got this market direction classifier or MDC, trend confidence indicator. And you've got some critical levels, but we don't need to really talk about those right now. MBI, momentum bias indicator, and forecast model. Obviously, predicting a crypto's price trajectory is notoriously challenging. So all we can do is just look at different kinds of data. And one thing I'll say off the bat is that I think it's foolish to just base your decision to sell off of only one data point. And the second thing I'll say is that there are probably uncountable number of indicators you could use to decide how you want to buy or sell. But I'm going to share some really good ideas with you tonight, and hopefully you can learn from this video and adapt it to your own strategy. So here we have like Bitcoin, for instance. Bitcoin's current price is just under $100,000. We know it already broke $100,000 a few days ago. Its UDPI or upside downside potential indicator short. Now these values range from -5 to 5. When it's red, that's negative, and that indicates overheating. When it's green, that indicates that it's positive or undervalued. And the higher the number in either direction, right? So whether it's red 5 or green 5, the more maxed out it is in one direction or the other. So if we look at the UDPI short for Bitcoin, it's at 0.63. That indicates in the short term that Bitcoin still has quite a bit of room that it could run before being considered overheated. The UDPI medium is 2.17. This is more of a medium term, like 2 to 3 month kind of indicator saying, in the next 2 or 3 months, Bitcoin is, it's getting hot, but it still has room to run. And the UDPI long usually, I think, goes on a longer time frame, 4 to 6 months. And that is giving us a 2.13 saying, yeah, Bitcoin still has, some room to run. It's still got some gas left in the tank. Its TCI is 0.21. So the current uptrend's confidence is not super great, but it is still calling for an uptrend. This score, when it is below zero, indicates a downtrend is more likely than an uptrend. The momentum bias indicator is 0.48. And so this is basically telling you the prevailing momentum. So this is bullish momentum that's prevailing. And the forecast model gives us a 46% chance of Bitcoin's price being higher 6 months from now than it currently is. So it's a little bit uncertain on that. And you can click on any of these and get a graph. For instance, with Bitcoin, if we wanted to look at the UDPI long values, especially if you're sort of a more long-term investor like myself, you can kind of see a graph of these, and you can even run an SMA if you wanted to, like a 7-day SMA. I think I did that with Bitcoin. I didn't mean to do that with Bitcoin. I meant to do that with the UDPI. So we'll do that here. Smooth out, the signal. And you can see that, we spent quite a bit of time at the bottom levels, which were around -4. And in past cycles, we got pretty much, up into the fours near a top, or even here, you get pretty close to 5. So I think this cycle, it's reasonable to think we could get somewhere between 4 and 5. We're currently not there. So, this is telling us that in the next few months, we're more likely to continue running up. We've definitely got some potential to work with. This doesn't mean we can't come back down, but this is clearly starting to build to more impressive levels. So anyways, and you can do a lot with these indicators. They're very customizable. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about this particular um, metric, right? I want to focus more on the overall picture. You see, Ethereum right now is a little bit more heated up than Bitcoin in the short term, but in the long term, Ethereum has more room to run it at a score of only 1.06 red, right? So where something like XRP, which has cooled off a little bit recently, doesn't really have much room to run up in the short or medium term, but you can see its long-term risk is starting to cool down, giving it the ability to run a lot higher. But the TCI is still very, very positive. So, this is certainly suggesting, I mean, the MBI at 1.92, XRP could definitely run, but notice that there's only a 30% chance that the price of XRP in 6 months will be higher than it is today. So anyways, you can use the data on this website to analyze a lot of cryptocurrencies. They've got so many and they keep adding more. And if you just kind of go through, you'll see that this is a really great collection of data, and that's really all you can do is just try to interpret the data yourself to make the best decision for yourself. So that's Polarity Digital. I will definitely be, following Polarity Digital Prometrics, for different cryptos because I really think that their machine learning algorithms that they've developed, very, very brilliant people behind this website, great people too, are very reliable. So I'll put a link to the Polarity Digital website in my video description if you want to just check them out. Okay, another website that I think is quite useful is precisioncryptotrading.com. This was actually developed, kind of incubated somewhat at the Crypto Simulation Theory Telegram. And no, I cannot take credit for it, though. This was not developed by me. I had really nothing to do with its development. But with some members of our Telegram group, they got together, and this was developed, in part by a professional, well, mostly by a professional stock trader who has decided to kind of turn his knowledge to the crypto space. And he is a very, very smart guy. He's got a great team working for him. And anyways, I recommend you check this out. But the reason why I'm coming here is because they have custom indicators. And I want to show you one of those indicators that can be used to help you assess when it might be a good time to buy or sell a crypto. So, precision crypto trading selling strategies are fundamentally based off of stage analysis. And this is a diagram of stage analysis, and I'll just kind of walk you through the basics of it. This doesn't cover like everything you need to know about it because it gets more in depth into each of these stages. But you basically have your first stage, which is the accumulation stage. You've got early accumulation, mid accumulation, and late accumulation. And then what you typically look for is a convincing breakout into stage two, which is the basically your bull market. This is where you achieve your highest percentage gains. You've got your early markup, mid markup, and then late markup where you're getting close towards the top. And then stage three is distribution, and usually somewhere in here is where you're going to be looking to sell your asset. Now, you don't have to sell it in distribution. You can also sell it before distribution. They have rules at Precision Crypto Trading that they use to kind of help navigate this stage. And of course, you've got stage four decline into the bear market, and then the whole process just repeats over and over again. So this is kind of a theoretical illustration or a conceptual illustration of how stage analysis works. So they have some diagrams that they use to explain stage analysis. This is an example of altcoin accumulation and altcoin season. So you have the 2020 altcoin season down here. This would be the previous 2017, 2016, 2017 bull market. There's your stage two blow off top. There really wasn't much in the way of a stage three, just kind of went straight into stage four. And then you had this very long stage one accumulation before the breakout, stage two, and then stage three. And you can see the continuation of that here, stage four, stage one, stage two. And, we're arguably still in stage two at this point with altcoin season. This chart was made a few months ago, so it's not up to date, but you kind of get the general gist of these four stages. And it's a pattern that all assets, or in this case, collections of assets, more or less follow. In the event of an extreme blow off top, like what happened in 2020, stage three can somewhat be skipped. you could very rapidly enter into stage 4, though they'd probably argue in here you might have like a mini stage 3. I'm not an expert on this, okay? So you can see stage 3 in general is very brief compared to the other stages. Stage 2, stage 4, and stage 1 are much longer, generally speaking, than stage 3. So the institutional moving averages for the overall stages are generally the 10-week and the 40-week. These are the same institutional moving averages that are used in the stock market, and precision crypto trading tries to apply these strategies once again to crypto. I mean, because charts are charts. And so this is an example with Bitcoin. Again, this is not super current, although it's not that lagging either. It's a few months old. Still think there's a lot to be learned from here. You go all the way back to the 2019 cycle. You have stage 1 price range around the flat 40-week moving average, and the 40-week is in gray, and then you have the 10-week in red. So stage 2 price above the 10 and 40-week moving averages turned up. Okay, so once those moving averages are turned up, you have like right here, you have and of course, remember stage 2 can last for quite a while, and it's broken down into early, mid, and late. And then we get into our selling region. Today's video is about selling, so that's what we're going to mainly focus on. So you're getting to the end of stage 2 and into the beginning of stage 3. And you can see what ends up happening here is price starts to struggle to stay above the um, the 10-week moving average. And so generally what they do in precision crypto trading, although they tend to do this on a daily moving average, but with Bitcoin, you could probably do it on a weekly because it's a much older asset, is they're looking for 2 consecutive closes below the 10-week moving average. Now they have different rules that they use for different assets and different time frames. I won't be able to teach you all of that because, first of all, I am not involved on the PCT admin team or anything like that. I'm just a supporter and a fan of the work that they do. So you'd want to sign up for their services. They offer everything from free to paid services. It's totally worth it. They've got an exceptional team. Um, but anyways, so then you can see during the late stage 2 and stage 3, generally like a distribution phase, that is where you want to start thinking about, exiting somewhere in there. That's what they would teach to you, and then you want to be out before the stage 4 bear market really kicks into gear. So this is an example of a past cycle, really, really excellent illustration. And what you see down here is Bitcoin's relative strength versus the stock market. And, this is based off of the Mansfield RSI indicator, but it kind of shows you how Bitcoin will aggressively outperform the S&P during stage 2, but start to kind of struggle a little bit as it heads into stage 3 and then massively underperform it, generally speaking, during stage 4. So here's an example of the indicators that they have available on the Precision Crypto Trading website, which I feel are really useful tools for trying to time entries and exits. We'll talk about exits because that's what we're interested in today, which is selling. You can learn about how they buy assets on their website and, join their group if you're interested in learning more about this. But you can see this is Solana on the daily time frame. Daily time frame works best for this indicator. It has the 20-day EMA here in blue, the 10-week SMA in red, and the 40-week SMA in white. Remember, these are the institutional moving averages that tell you which stage you're in as far as that goes. But in general, what they're looking for to stay in an asset is certain criteria have to be met, and they actually give it a grade. When the asset has had 2 consecutive daily closes underneath the 20-day EMA, that's it. In precision crypto trading, they get out of that trade. So they would have to have 2 consecutive daily closes underneath the 20-day EMA. And you can see instances where that's happened. It's happened here. It's happened here. Lots of different places where they would have done that. The current grade that they give to Solana is a C, a letter grade of C. So they have letter grades, and you can even just look on here and see a head and shoulders already developing. Solana is 10.04% from its all-time high. So, it hits some resistance. Totally not, totally expected that might happen. And you can see the Bitcoin pair strength. Remember the S&P pair strength in the Bitcoin graph. Well, they have the Bitcoin pair strength by default on their custom indicator, has a grade of C. So, they would probably, I'm guessing, have probably sold out of their Solana position by now, but would be, eager to re-enter if Solana's pair strength started to turn up and it started, to fulfill their criteria moving forward. So, anyways, they have a selling strategy that you can use, and you can learn more about it at Precision Crypto Trading. I'm going to leave that link also in the video description for you. I'm going to go through some indicators that I look at, sort of, I don't look at a single indicator. I look at many indicators together to determine if I want to sell something. But again, using Solana as an example, this is known as the Gunnar EMA band. Okay, so the Gunnar EMA band consists of two moving averages. We can look at the visibility of them here. We've got the green and the red. These are very similar moving averages to Benjamin Cowen's bull market support band from ITC. So if you look at the green moving average, when it's above the red, that's considered to be a bullish trend. And the wider it gets, the more bullish it is. Generally, we want to look at, potentially selling when the asset starts to come underneath the green, and especially when it's underneath the red moving average. And we have crosses. So this is like a bullish cross right here where green goes above red. You get bearish crosses. And on a daily time frame, these are easily invalidated. So you kind of want to zoom out and look at the trend. Like you can see, this was a very bearish trend from August all the way to September. And currently, this was a very bullish trend going from September to November. And now things are starting to look a little bearish again. And it's possible that this closes in a bearish cross. And then it could just open right back up again and Solana could go running. So, but like you would decide kind of what criteria you have. Do you want to wait for 2 daily closes below the green? Do you want to wait for 2 daily closes below the red? Very similar in a lot of ways to the precision crypto trading strategy. And so this is, depending on how often you want to, go in and out of assets, right? And you can even do this on a weekly time frame. Of course, with the weekly, you're going to miss out, on a lot of signals. You might hold on for a lot longer, right? So on the weekly, I mean, you have to go pretty far to even see the beginning of the bullish cross. So it's like right here in October of 2023, Solana had a bullish cross, and it didn't even have a bearish cross since. So you might have entered at $22.74, and you still haven't exited, but you would exit on a bearish cross. So you can play the crosses with the Gunnar EMA as well. So that's just one indicator of many that you can use. Another indicator I like to use is the BEAM indicator, BEAM. This was created by famous, well, I consider him famous. I don't know how famous he actually is, but by TradingView wizard Bitcoin Econ. And so this indicator is really nice. It is based off of Bitcoin's growth model and Bitcoin's tendency to have parabolic tops. And you can adjust this indicator, but I like the default settings. They actually work really well for most assets. Believe it or not, the only one I have a little bit of trouble using it with is Bitcoin, which is kind of ironic, but it works fairly well with most assets. So if we go back to Solana's first cycle, we can see that with the beam, we have all these different zones, right? So we have below the 0 line, which is considered extreme undervaluation. Okay. And this would correspond to like your accumulation phase. It could also, so if you were thinking in terms of stage analysis, this could be sort of like the end of stage 4 heading into stage 1. Then you have sort of the growth phase, the initial growth phase. That could be like stage 2, which is what I think Solana is currently in. If you, again, make reference to the stage analysis. The zone between 0 and 0.2 is generally considered a DCA zone. You can even go all the way up to, the 0.4 level. Generally speaking, when you have gray on the graph, see this was green. Green is generally accumulation. Gray generally is a holding zone. And when you see the red on the graph, that is where you might consider selling. But of course, you've got to look at other indicators and also look at what time frame you're on. So you can see that the beam indicator did eventually call the top, right? But it didn't, like if you were to sell right here at this peak, you would have missed the top, right? This was a price of $238.45. Whereas if you waited a little bit longer, well, let's see, actually this price was $224.14. So, it's kind of like, well, you're not going to time the top, but you can get close enough. But if you would have sold here, right, this would have been at $47.17. And, if you didn't re-enter at this low here and you thought this was it, that's it. That's the top of Solana, which was in, May. We know Bitcoin had another run up later on in the year. Then you would have missed out on another 6x move. So Again, you don't use any indicators by themselves. You always want to use them in confluence with other ones. Another indicator that I really like, especially on the weekly time frame, is the true strength indicator. So with the true strength indicator, again, you gotta, you gotta watch out for potentially false signals. Like here, you have the May 2021 top. When blue is above the yellow signal, it's very simple. Blue's above yellow, that's good. Blue's below yellow, not so good, right? And so you can see that this, in fact, at this cross right here, you got to look at these crosses, right? The death crosses, especially. Here's a death cross that signaled potentially a time to want to sell, and you would have sold like around, in that case, at the death cross, it would have been like, looks like price around $48. If you would have sold at this death cross right here, that would have gotten you really close to the top, like super close to it. 200 and something dollars. Again, how accurate do you want to be, right? Timing tops is dangerous. And you go back to April of 2024, true strength indicator was around 190 something dollars on the death cross, and we just got a golden cross. So we're gonna head into another uptrend until we get another death cross, and that might mark a really good place to sell if you're thinking more long term. So that's another indicator you can use. There's another indicator called the ants indicator, and credit goes to GR in my crypto simulation theory chat for bringing this one to my attention. This is a famous indicator that's used a lot in the stock market. And so it gives you different colors for different ants as different requirements are met to satisfy the criteria for what you need. Now, this works best on a daily time frame. So we'll switch over to a daily time frame, and you can show hands horizontally. And the idea is the more ants that show up, the closer to a top you're getting, especially if all of the requirements are met for your particular trend. So I'm going to switch over to the daily for Solana. We even can get ants on the weekly though, and just kind of reflect back, maybe going back to previous times in Solana's history. And you can see here, you get these blue ants, and then at the top you start to lose some of the blue ants, and that can indicate that an uptrend is coming to an end. And here you got some blue ants, and didn't really mean a whole lot, just Solana had bottomed. And here you're seeing a kind of like this accumulation zone, right? And maybe we'll see some blue ants, as Solana climbs up, maybe to near between $800 and $1,000 or higher. I mean, who knows where Solana is going to go, but you can use the ants indicator to kind of help you with that. And, it can work especially well on really short time frames. Like we go to the 4 hour, I don't know. I haven't looked at Solana on the 4 hour. So not really seeing much here. It hasn't been super volatile, but anyways, you can play around with that indicator, and again, it's just one of many that you can use. I don't want to overwhelm you with too many indicators, so this will be the last one that I go over. And then after this, I want to talk about kind of some market structure and how fast uptrends can happen in a bull market, because I think that is closely related to being ready for selling. This is the wave trend oscillator, and get you the official name of it. It is, if we click on this, WT_X, so wave trend oscillator. And it prints bullish or bearish divergence points where these could be good selling opportunities, right? For Solana, you can see there were 3 of them that occurred on this. This is a weekly time frame. We had one in May of 2021. We had another one in September of 2021, and another one in November of 2021. And so any of these would have marked some good places to sell, either for shorter term or longer term profits. And then we printed one of these in January of 2024. We printed one in April of 2024. Will we print another one now? Who knows, right? This could flip red, but then come right back up as green. So, which I think is probably more likely than it heading down. So, and these can even be used for buys as well. As you can see here, it printed a green dot on December 26th. So, like this is a really great indicator, the wave trend indicator, and another one to have in your toolkit. Something just to keep in mind with altcoins in general is they spend most of their time crabbing, or even going down. But what you'll notice happens right before a major breakout, and this is not meant to be repetitive with my last video, but just to kind of show you, you tend to get a lot of retests. Like I have fib levels here. The altcoin will just kind of do a lot of nothing and feel like it's going nowhere, and then you get these really strong parabolic moves. These moves are like but a blip in the tremendous amount of time that an asset like Solana spends either going down or going sideways, right? You get this move up, crab a little sort of, the upside, you get one more big move up, kind of crab. And these are weeks that are going by where you're doing a whole lot of nothing. So one of the things to keep in mind is that you can wait around a really long time for these impulsive moves. And it's not, I mean, Solana is one of the stronger assets, but like, you could take an asset like Pepe, for instance. I've looked at this one many times. And it, kind of does the same thing. Comes down here, retests it, and look at, looks like all hope is lost. And then you get 1, 2, 3, 4 green weeks, right? And this third green week was huge. 1 week out of like the Pepe's been around now for like almost 2 years. And it hasn't moved like that since. It only did that at the very beginning. And then it spends time crabbing, right? And now we can start to see potentially the beginning of another uptrend about to form. This could be like a nice bull flag. It takes Pepe a little bit higher, maybe to the 2 fib or something like that. I don't know exactly how high it's going to go, but just to show you that you really don't. And then again, you're looking at weeks, and you really want to see this like play out. Look at days, and you can see just how much time we spend crabbing. It's like crazy the amount of time that an asset spends crabbing. Look at all this crabbing, and only now we're starting to move up. And you can see how like rare of a move this one is here. So don't take any bubble for granted, during a bull market. And you also want to keep track of where Bitcoin is. If Bitcoin, it looks like it's topped out and your altcoins are now running, they're probably going to top out soon afterwards. So you just have to be very, cautious, and it's better to take profits than to not take profits, right? You don't want to be the bag holder who holds all the way down. And there's one last chart I want to share with you. I've shared it on the channel before, but it never hurts to see it multiple times. Why do charts move the way they do? Well, we have the Wall Street cheat sheet, which is used in the stock market to try to understand market psychology, and it equally applies to the crypto market, the different stages of a market cycle. So, you know, before you get all the exciting moves, there's usually this period of depression where it just seems like nothing's happening with your asset. Maybe it's going down or just slowly grinding up, but you feel like it's just going to fall again. And that's, right here. You kind of come into this disbelief. Oh, the rally's going to fail, and then it doesn't. And then you just get these very brief periods of upside. But look at how much time is spent in accumulation. So much. So this is like your stage 1, right? And then you get in your stage 2 all the way to here. Here's your stage 3, the complacency, and then you've got your stage 4 bear market. So I think you could use like, all the tools that were covered in this video, and maybe find some ones of your own. There's really nothing as powerful as having your own system for selling that is, comfortable for you. Now, in a previous video that I did in my risk management series, part 5, which I will link at the end of this video, I talked about more specific selling strategies, kind of getting into like how you could scale out in a linear way if you want to follow risk metrics. But I wanted to provide you with a more holistic overview of sort of like the signs to look for to let you know when it's probably time to sell. And again, this depends on whether you're selling on a daily time frame, a weekly time frame. You want to sell just a couple times a year. You want to sell once in the cycle. Like it's up to you. I can't tell you how to do that. Some people day trade. They trade all throughout the day. Some people like to swing trade. Other people like to go more long. And either way, these methods should work. So you just have to learn how to use them and how to adjust them. So again, nothing in this video is intended to be financial advice. It's just a collection of strategies and techniques, some from crypto simulation theory from my own techniques, others from Polarity Digital Pro, and others from Precision Crypto Trading. I would like to thank all parties involved for allowing me to talk about their indicators. And once again, I'll put their links to their businesses or their websites in the video description. And just for the record, I was not endorsed in any kind of way or asked by Polarity Digital Pro or Precision Crypto Trading to demonstrate their website or their indicators. This was entirely of my own volition. So just know that up front, that I don't have any kind of formal business arrangement with either entity. And that allows me to stay unbiased in my analysis. And, I love their metrics. So, I would just encourage you to check those out. So yeah, thank you for joining me in the crypto simulation. Hope you've had a great week, especially with Bitcoin breaking through $100,000. That was really an amazing accomplishment. We'll definitely revisit Bitcoin in a future video. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment if you have anything that you want to say or you have any questions for me down below. And I'd encourage you to join my free, wrong way, my free Telegram group, Crypto Simulation Theory Telegram. We've got over 300 members. They're great people. We have a lot of really fun conversations. Just nice to trade as part of a community, and everything there is completely free. So I will see you again next time. Thank you for watching, and I hope you're having a great weekend. Bye.